Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP and here today we're going to be running through an NXT recap. This is from last night's edition of the show. This is the 24th of March edition of NXT. So how about we go across the course of the night, break everything down and go from start to finish. So as per usual, we're going to kick things off with the opening segment of the night, and that would see a tag team matchup between RenQCC's Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair, the brand new Women's Speed Champion, taking on Fatal Influence's Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed. Tag team opportunity here for these two ladies to basically just keep on sort of dishing out the punishment towards Fatal Influence, keep trying to sort of like knock them down a peg or two, and to stake further claims further forward. It will get to a stage in the contest where after a pretty back and forth matchup, both teams looking pretty impressive here. After a little bit of trying to lock it in, Kendall Gray is able to lock in the armbar on Lainey Reed. Once she does officially lock it in though, we then see Fallon Henley, who's at ringside, try to get into the ring once again in order to break up the submission hold. She gets caught by Ren Sinclair, though, sort of like stops her from advancing over to save Lainey Reed. And Ren then locks in the final wrench onto Fallon Henley, the move that she used to win the Speed Championship last week. And we would see then Lainey Reed tap out not too long afterwards to Kendall Gray in order to grant RenQCC with the win in this matchup. Post-contest, we would then see Kendall Gray pick up a microphone. She would declare herself as the woman to take the title from JC Jane at Stand and Deliver, calling her shot. Before then we see Lola Vice come on down to the ring soon afterwards, basically just essentially fighting her own case here before then Robert Stone arrives. He announces a match between the two of them next week to see who will be the number one contender for the Women's Championship of NXT, and that will take place at Stand and Deliver. So basically determining who JC's opponent will be on the biggest show. Looking forward to seeing who will win that one-on-one matchup between Lola Vice and Kendall Gray next week from Madison Square Garden. Coming up next, we would have a Sol Ruca promo. She would take to the ring, basically just a chance for her to get some things off of her chest and to really sort of berate and be honest here about her situation with, former friend and ally in Zarya. She would say that Zarya is no longer the woman that she thought she knew, claiming that Zarya decided last week that Sol wasn't the woman that she wanted to stand by anymore, which baffles her because of how much she trusted Zarya. Despite comments here and there, miscommunications, bits and bobs down the line, that sort of, seemingly got brushed under the rug and got pushed to the side. Sol says that they were better together and that all the opportunities that they had were shared. She says that she now knows who Zarya really is before issuing a challenge to her to stand up for herself at Stand and Deliver. Zarya then arrives coming down the ramp with a microphone in hand. She basically says that Sol valued her own success more than the actual team's. Before then, Zarya continues, saying that when she attacked Sol, it wasn't betrayal, but actually her taking everything back from Ruca. Zarya then goes on to say that she hates seeing Sol succeed. Zarya then goes on to say that she hates seeing Sol succeed because of how much she hated seeing someone else have everything that she wanted for herself. She says that she's finally choosing herself in the grand picture. Before then, Sol accuses Zarya of gaslighting and manipulating her. Sol says that Zarya was too insecure to stand by her. Before then, Zarya fights back, saying that Ruca isn't the villain in her story, but actually she's just the mistake. So this is a really good back and forth segment there. There's a quick little summary of it. Honestly, I'd really highly recommend watching this one. If you're following the story between Zarya and Sol Ruca, this was a really good back and forth promo segment. The summary doesn't do it overall justice, to be fair. But yeah, please go watch this one because absolutely brilliant between the two ladies. Just pure heart, getting it all out there in the open. Maybe a little bit of gaslighting involved just to sort of like spice things up. But both men played a great job here, and this promo was absolute fire. Anything better than anything the main roster are cooking up right now. This was a phenomenal segment. Going on to our next segment, then we would have a one-on-one matchup between Kalani Jordan and Thea Hale. A new-looking Thea Hale, after having a little bit of a dye to her hair there. This one wasn't advertised as a speed matchup, but you would not be surprised if it was. This was a really quick contest. Kalani Jordan putting Thea away in pretty quick fashion here. Don't think it was more than a few minutes, actually, this one. And yeah, just put on a really professional, dominant performance. A little bit back and forth between the two as Thea looks for a submission, but Kalani just drop her down and then hits her moonsault, which was, basically a pretty quick fashion matchup, quite surprisingly. Kalani doesn't stop there, though. She continues the attack after the match, locking a submission onto Thea Hale. Before then, we see Jada Parker arriving down to the ring. She then brings the fight to Kalani Jordan, clears her from the ring, and stands tall to end the segment. So very women-orientated first half here of NXT. Lots of tempers rising here between the women's division especially. But yeah, just some pretty good stuff here, to be fair. Let's move on to our second half. So starting this off then, we would have Jackson Drake and Shiloh Hill kicking things off in a NXT North American Championship gauntlet eliminator. This was the 5 men all participating in this one, as then 3 more men would come down across the course of the matchup. Dion Lennox would be the 3rd entrant before Charlie Dempsey would enter next up after that in number 4. And as number 5 is about to come on down, no one knows who it is because it's advertised as a mystery opponent. We then hear a woman's voice. The woman sort of like has a few things to say first before then revealing herself to be Candice LeRae. Candice sort of explains that she's tried absolutely everything to try and get a certain somebody back into the right mindset. And she's tried everything except for one particular thing, that's bringing him home to NXT. She introduces Johnny Gargano to come on down and out, and the crowd sort of like, have a really good reaction to this. Gargano is still absolutely not in the right mindset to really be going about this kind of thing. And he gets attacked by Jackson Drake immediately, and then is just sort of lying on the apron for a large part of the matchup. There's a bit of an ad break where he's sort of like, he's tossed around from side to side in bits and bobs, sort of like planking on the barricade and then back on another side of the apron. And we get to a stage where Shiloh Hill is absolutely running riot in this matchup. He eliminates 3 men, so there are only 5 in the contest, him being one of them as well. So he eliminates, all bar one person. And he does so with the same move for each one. That would be his finisher, which is the pop-up neckbreaker. Starting off with Dion Lennox originally, after he gets blindsided by OTM at ringside, sort of like just fed to the wolves here by rolling him into Shiloh Hill's path. He then hits that pop-up neckbreaker and eliminates Lennox. We then see Jackson Drake eliminated after he attempted some sort of handspring maneuver, but he gets popped up by Shiloh Hill, who hits that neckbreaker to then send Drake packing. Shiloh Hill gets that final elimination of his sort of record for this matchup, and that would be after eliminating Charlie Dempsey, who looked for a clothesline but got hit by the pop-up neckbreaker to then be eliminated himself. Birthright were at ringside for this one. They were absolutely furious with everything that was going on regarding Charlie Dempsey being eliminated from this matchup, so they sort of bring the fight to Shiloh Hill, drag him out to ringside, throw him into the steel steps, and then, it's sort of like a bit of a demolition job. Charlie hits a German suplex, they send Shiloh back into the ring, and Candice LeRae sees a prime opportunity here, just gets Gargano up to his feet, and just literally pushes him over. Gargano just flops onto Shiloh Hill, and that will be enough to book his spot at Stand and Deliver, 1-on-1 against Miles Bourne. Miles, the NXT North American champion, will come on down to the ring straight afterwards, have a bit of a stare down with Johnny Gargano, and that'll be the segment over. But quite a comical ending there to a pretty fun matchup, to be fair. Lots of talking points from this one, especially Johnny Gargano's inclusion here. So it's going to be Miles Bourne versus Gargano at Stand and Deliver. Should be a pretty great matchup. Looking forward to that one if we get to see the proper Johnny Gargano. So coming up after that, we then have another tag team matchup of the night. This would be the other side of the NXT Tag Team Championship tournament they've been going on for the last number of weeks. And this would be an opportunity for the Culling to advance on to the next round. They were meant to be going up against Elio Lafleur and Eli Knight, but they were attacked prior in the show. Not entirely sure who did it. There are apparently rumors of Elio getting injured at an NXT live event recently, so maybe sort of protecting him from the situation by having him taken out here. But regardless of the fact, they had to be replaced, and they were replaced by Los Americanos, Rayo and Bravo. Pretty fun matchup, this one, to be fair. Very back and forth, 2 completely different style teams here. But it does get to a stage in the matchup where we see it's Rayo at the time. He sort of places one of the metal plates inside of his mask. Bravo has done this earlier in the contest, but he hasn't used his mask yet. There gets to a situation not long after Rayo's put his in, where he delivers a headbutt. Bravo then replies with his own headbutt straight afterwards as well. Sort of like a 1-for-2 headbutt situation here, and that'll be enough for Los Americanos to go for the cover and to pick up a victory here over the Culling, and that would see them book their spot on Madison Square Gardens next week, where they will take on Birthright. So number one contenders matchup there. See who will take on the NXT Tag Team Champions at Stand and Deliver, but it should be a pretty fun matchup between those 2 teams next week. And then we went into our main event of the show. This would see Tony D'Angelo taking on Ricky Saints in a 1-on-1 matchup. A little bit of tension between Ricky and Ethan Page going into this matchup, still both wanting the same prize, and it's quite the comical situation. The matchup though sort of seemed to differ in that sort of sense though, because they're pretty much both on the same page. Ethan being very sort of animated at ringside while supporting Ricky. And then it gets to a stage in the contest where we do see the tide sort of flowing, changing bits and back and here and forth. Tony D'Angelo looks to pick up the victory over Ricky Saints. He's sort of like going through the motions, about to end the job, And it looks for us, sort of looks like for like a chokeslam maneuver, maybe a spinebuster, perhaps, if you will. And we see ethanpage take out D'Angelo from behind at the knee, and that'll be enough for a disqualification here in this matchup, where Tony D'Angelo would be declared the winner officially. The matchup doesn't really sort of like end there, as we do then sort of see a bit of post-match animosity between the three guys. Ricky and Ethan look to take down Tony D'Angelo, and it gets to a stage where then we see Joe Hendry charging down to the ring, who then sends Ricky and Ethan to ringside. He turns his attention to Tony D'Angelo, not forgetting what he did to him prior and what he wants from the situation. He takes out Tony D'Angelo with a standing ovation, and Tony sort of like maniacally sort of like just smiling, smirking at Joe Hendry afterwards in the corner, whilst Ethan and Ricky are at ringside, sort of just, I guess, playing tug of war with the NXT Championship. So, yeah, a lot of names involved here, which we expected to be the case. Robert Stone will be backstage afterwards having an interview, and he would basically announce that after seeing what just took place in the ring, there'll be a fatal four-way at Stand and Deliver for the NXT Championship. Joe Hendry defends against Tony D'Angelo, Ricky Saints, and Ethan Page. So that would be the NXT episode done for today. A lot building into next week for Madison Square Gardens. We're talking the likes of Sora Ruka's call out of Zarya. I can see that sort of like paving into Madison Square Gardens before you then go to Stand and Deliver. The Rank UCC getting a big victory there, and then the formation of a one-on-one matchup for the number one contendership for the NXT Women's Championship. That'll take place next week as well. Obviously, the Tag Team Championship number one contenders match, that'll take place as well. Johnny Gargano just got a big win here. He's the number one contender for the North American Championship at Stand and Deliver. I'm talking really fast. There's a lot to cover here. But yeah, a lot of the things moving along quite like a nice pace. Pretty good episode of NXT, to be fair. Not too bad at all. I quite enjoyed this one. A lot going down. 7.5 from me. Just, yeah, a lot of things moving on in a really nice way. And like I said, please go back and watch that Zarya and Soruka segment if you can. It is stellar. It's very, very good. Storytelling at its finest. Very good promo from both ladies. Definitely worth the watch. But for now, everybody, that has been the NXT recap for this week. 24th of March edition. Just a little bit before Stand and Deliver and the Madison Square Gardens episode coming up next week. So, let us know what you thought. Whether you like this one, please let us know in the comments whether you like or disagree with anything that we said here today. It'd be lovely to hear what you guys are thinking, and any feedback is appreciated. Please let us know if you like this video by hitting the like on this one, and then subscribing to our channel, keeping up with future releases going forward. We're always doing recaps for NXT, Raw, SmackDown, PLEs, predictions, all that kind of stuff. We're popping all the content out. But for now, everybody, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you all next time. Take it easy, and goodbye for now.